So we'll proceed with the Facilities Committee meeting for December 15th, 2021. Let me lead us in a word of prayer, please. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day and this season, Father. Help us to remember what it means. And Father, help us to have wisdom as we go about the county's business and serving our customers. Be with our staff members this time of year. Be with those of that portion. Just pray that everyone will realize that you're the gift you gave us is the ultimate gift we could ever have. It's in His name we pray. Amen. There's no public comments, so we'll go to the approval section. I've got the minutes from the November 17th, 2021 Facilities Committee meeting.
I move to accept as submitted.
Second that.
And motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Next item is the minutes from the November 17th, 2021 Facilities Committee executive session. Do I have a motion?
Move to accept as submitted.
Second on that.
Motion second. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Item 3, change order number 1, 4036 Basin CIPP. Mr. Klein.
All right, Commissioners, good afternoon. This item is for Capital Project 2001 as stated, 4036 CIP rehabilitation. That's the liners in the pipes that we use to rehab them, make them new again, or as new again. Change orders for time extension, additional cost as well. I'll talk a little bit about that. Bionomic Services is the contractor. They're out there, matter of fact, out there mobilized right now working. If you go by exit 36, over there I-95, you'll see them out there mobilized to clean that line underneath the overpass right now.
They're cleaning and lining tonight, right?
And lining, yes.
Where's this at?
Exit 36 on I-95. So you'll see Bionomics, their trucks, everything's mobilized, getting traffic control in place right now. So this is, I would call this one
This is a key.
a key one here underneath the overpass. You can imagine, but we did hold him to do this one, just sidebar here, on this segment, clean it and have their liner ready to go right in behind the cleaning because there's some heavy tuberculation and that type of.
And they're also
defect.
bypassing it with tanker trucks. They're gonna run trucks all night long to bypass
Wow.
it, so we don't have pipe stretched out on 341.
Is that a ductile iron pipe?
It's cast, I think it is, through there. Yeah,
Some of it's clay, some of it's either cast or duct.
yeah, it's a,
Is it in casing?
no, sir, direct buried.
We were there before the interstate, so it was not required to be in casing when we put it there.
So that's a little more detail on the project itself. This in particular is to add a time extension due to a few factors. There's a document attached as well from the contractor as well, explaining some of the issues. And then there's also a $9,000 adder in there as well, and I'll talk about that. Basically, the timing of this project and another project at 4036, pump station 4036 going on. 4036 is under rehab and under bypass right now. The bypass efforts are affecting, in a way, the lining effort on the upstream segments. It's just the way these two projects followed through on the between advertising, bidding, all that. They came to a confluence here, and they're kind of on top of each other. So the contractors come to us and say, hey, we need to demobilize from this planned segment right here because of the bypassing issues and move over to where they are now. So they've done as much as they can in the one segment. It's by Rich CPAC off Glendale. Several segments of sewer there that they're doing. They're going to move their pumps and they're going to move them over to where they're lining now off 95. So time extension till the end of February, basically, and a little bit more money, $9,000 they've asked in there. But along with that, we've negotiated with them, and they're actually going to line one little short segment extra for us as well. So it's a little work together effort.
And the main reason for the time extension is they don't really have a lot of work left to do. It's just those last segments they can't really get started on until the other contractor's out of 4036. So we allowed them to the end of February to allow the other contractor to finish up in mid-January. By the end of January, theoretically be out of there, and then they had the month of February to finish the job.
That's pump station 4036.
Pump station 4036, right?
So why is that? Why can't they continue even though 4036 is going on? I don't understand why we're having that.
Because with Contractor states that with the bypass currently set up, it is backed up. 4 or 5 manholes are holding right now because of the way it's being bypassed, so they can't line it with it being held.
So the contractor's not bypassing property then, is that right?
They are allowing the water to come up in the manhole before, so their pumps.
Because we
will
don't
run.
have the wet well. So
Because we don't, because the wet
so
well
the
is being
influent
developed.
sewer is acting as the wet well because we're doing work on
Right,
the wet well.
that's correct.
Correct. So 4036 is
Okay.
right here.
All right,
Pump
I
station under rehab.
Yeah.
It's under bypass.
Okay,
And the bypass is surcharging up in here. It's
and that's
effective.
part of the line that's being lined.
Correct, yes, sir. In the exhibit that's attached, you'll see this as well. What's
Okay.
highlighted is what they've completed, and they've worked as far as they can. In Ogden, Lane comes in through here, which it does have some flow from the local area, local basin, and so they can't plug this to prevent the surcharge from coming up on them.
So Ogden's the green up there on the top.
This is the Ogden Lane segment coming in from here, this direction. They're gonna actually line these 2 segments right here for the tracks. And this one little part of the additional monies, they're gonna include lining this one little segment that wasn't included. And that's gonna give us, it's actually a better way to do it. That one wasn't included in the original project because the condition didn't warrant it.
So when is the pump station supposed to be finished, so they won't be bypassing it?
Great question. We'll talk about that more in the capital project update, but to answer that question right now, they're setting pumps in 35. We're still waiting, I believe, for pumps to arrive at.
No, they got the pumps at 36.
They did get the pumps at
They
36.
showed up today.
They showed up today, great. It's a lot of stuff that's happening this last week. So,
It's supposed to be finished the 1st or 2nd week of January
yeah, January 6th,
on the pump
Yeah.
stations, right?
Both of
Yeah.
them?
they're hoping January 6th that they'll be able to do a startup or so on this station here.
Because, of course, then they got to demobilize, so
Yeah.
we suspect they'll be out of there by the end of January.
So if I understand this right, between the 2 projects of scale, basically we've had a confluence of the overlapping scope of work zone, I guess.
Work zones have
Okay.
overlapped, correct.
All right, now Todd, you mentioned we're increasing the scope a little bit, so we're aligning another pipe.
We are.
Would you expand on that, please? And
Yes,
that's
sir.
part of the $9,000.
Correct, and so they came to us and said it's gonna cost us $9,000 to demobilize our bypass pumps, move to another job site, or, part of the project, but another location, and then remobilize them when the area is freed up. That's part of that $9,000. In talking with them, we went back and forth, and we negotiated to have them include this liner in here.
It's like an
as well.
additional 30 feet that they're lining. It's a short
Okay.
segment,
Okay.
but
But really the cost is because they haven't mobilized
Right.
and
it's
demobilized.
because they got to
Correct,
break the
correct.
pumps down and then get their subcontractor back in there, rehook up the bypass and everything like that.
Okay, so we've negotiated a scope expansion that's going to be covered simply because they got to remobilize after this.
Correct, right.
Okay. I'm good, thank you.
And are we satisfied with all the work they've done to date?
They have done good work. Bionomics does good work on this project. So far, so good. We've had no issue. Very professional. Their equipment's in line.
Are they having to rebuild any manholes too?
Not on this job. We just did the line on this instead of doing the manholes, because the last time we did a combined manhole and lining job, we got out of whack. So we'll do the manholes later.
Okay, and, okay. Now, they're doing the one on the interstate too?
Yes, sir. Correct. Interstate.
The next facilities meeting, will that be through by then?
Should be
Yes.
through tomorrow.
Yeah, we're hoping it's through
If it's
tonight.
not through
yeah.
tomorrow, we're
Early
gonna have
morning
more
hours will be
problems.
done.
Now, when it's through, when will they televise it, tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Maybe, they may come back the next week and televise it. Typically, they do it the same day. Because they have to cut, well, not on these, but, because there shouldn't be any services.
It'd be
but-
good to show, if we had a picture of that, and
Mhm.
show the commission the before and after on the pipe,
Definitely. We've got,
and also show the location of where it is, above ground.
We've got some good before pics. Shows the tuberculation. It was so bad that they couldn't get through it to do a full televised.
What size line is that, 24?
This one coming through here.
18.
It's 18, all the way through. Yep, there's section BCP, that's right. It does
That
tie in.
section is
It's a mix of materials through there.
To handle future flows that we can have.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It will. So, project-wise, and if everything goes right, and even the contractor says If the other contractor is out of the way with the bypassing by the 6th, as predicted, this will likely wrap up quicker, sooner. But there's no incentive for them to drag the project on by any means.
They want to have to come back for another time extension.
Yeah.
And give them sufficient time if the other project did drag a couple weeks.
That's it.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move that the Facilities Committee recommend the full commission approve change order number 1 as a project time extension with an adjusted final project completion date of February 28th, 2022, an adjusted final contract amount of $932,333.69.
Second.
Any other questions?
Does this put us over budget, or is this still within the budget?
Still within the budget.
Still within the budget, okay.
We budgeted $1 million, so.
Okay, so we're good, that's good.
No other questions, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Next item is change order number 2, North Mainland Force Main Reroute. Mr. Klein.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. This project is our large project on North Main, a continuation of the pump station rehab. This is the force main reroute portion of 702. TB Landmark is our contractor, and this is to go back and revisit what we've discussed before, the Ogden Lane segment of the project. It's the final segment of the force main improvement to get it to pump station 4036. Matter of fact, it's going to utilize all these linings and the upgrade at 4036 and 35 as well. These projects do all tie together. This is the staff did at length present, discuss options on Ogden. It was actually bid with a few different options: open cut gravity versus force main extensions. And I think as all parties have looked real hard at this, I think everybody's in agreement now that perhaps to extend the force main would be the best option at this point. So that's what this is. This is a force main extension on Ogden. The pricing you see was originally one of the options, but there's been a material increase since the project was awarded, and that is the $16,000, excuse me, the $66,000 that you see there that adds. Okay, so let's see, if we look down here at the very top, the overview, I got change order 2, changing from gravity to force main. The gravity install, as it was awarded, was $968,000. Prices have increased on this other option, the force main option, since it was bid. And since we didn't award it to them at that time, we can't necessarily hold them to those prices. $66,000 increase in materials. That changes the force main option up to $551,000. But overall, it's a reduction in contract price total of that $417,000. So this is actually a reduction in contract cost.
And also should theoretically speed up completion of the project.
It should. It should.
I have a question. What was the main thing that drove you to pivot and change over to force main? Why did this happen?
Main thing is constructability, I believe. The contractor right off the bat was extremely hesitant of, even though they did provide a price, and that was the plan going forward since it was bid and award, they presented an awful lot of feedback on the difficulty of the install. The gravity install is deep. It's a narrow right-of-way through there. In residents, many residents up and down Ogden Lane would have been affected with access. So between that, the speed at which they can get this done here, it's going to be a lot faster with the driving forces in there.
You've got smaller pipe, shallower, it can go underground a lot faster.
It can go right, exactly. This also moves the discharge point of the force main. Currently, or the original planned discharge point was at very close to the intersection of Old Jessup Road and Ogden Lane. This pushes it back further, closer to the railroad tracks. Took the picture down, but away from the residences now. So not that we expect any odor issues. But with a large discharge from a force main and whatnot, you always have that. When you go in and maintain, you're going to have odors. You pop the lid on there, it's going to, they've already experienced that out there where it's at now.
So between the feedback from the contractor and your staff, then you sat down and decided that this is more practical way, the better way to do something.
Absolutely,
Okay.
Commissioner. We have also included in the contract where the contractor was to obtain construction easements from the neighbors and a lot of tree removal as well.
Okay.
To be honest with you, Ogden Lane is not a very defined right-of-way in itself.
Okay.
We've had Glynn County, our surveyor, the residents have had their own surveyors out there, and there's multiple opinions to where the property lines actually are. So all these difficulties put together,
Right.
this is a straightforward option that everybody can agree on.
I appreciate the fact that you could pivot and come back to reality, the thing that's going to be least disruptive to the community and everything. So
We believe
certainly
so.
applaud that.
There's a 8-inch gravity sewer down there now.
There is.
It's gonna remain.
Yes, sir.
For now, it'll remain, yes, sir.
There's an existing water main. Where's it?
Existing 2-inch,
2-inch.
yes.
And where's it?
Existing 2 inches on the side of the road,
Yeah.
And where's the force main gonna be?
down the center.
Right down the center, essentially. It's a great point.
Isn't that where the sewer line is? Where's the sewer line?
Sewer line, it's offset. I can, GIS, pull it up. You can take a peek at it real quick.
How's the force main gonna be installed? Open cut?
It's a blank map.
There'll be a section down at the bottom of the hill under that wetlands area will be drilled, but everything down to that last section will be open cut.
So it'll be 4 feet of cover?
Yeah, 3-4 feet of coverage.
So they will be removing pavement. It's
Yes.
gonna be under the pavement.
It will be under the pavement, yes.
So to that point, the residents are also going to benefit from getting a new road surface out there. So as part of this open cut option, obviously we're going to be disturbing the roadway. They're going to get new wearing surface out there.
Is there a separate pay item for the removing and replacing pavement?
It's all in the restoration, roadway restoration item.
Lump sum item?
Yes, sir.
So that's not gonna change? from
That's
that?
not gonna change. Because you're gonna do full width restoration either way, whichever option goes on.
The Glynn County Right-of coordinator says if you go and cut Ogden Lane and trench it, you're going to be replacing the,
I assume the contractors looked at other utilities in there too, and don't have any other conflicts like gas lines or nothing like that.
yes, sir. It was located, they actually had their own surveyor. I didn't mention there's another surveyor that was involved. TP Landmark's own surveyor came in, and they had the utilities located before their surveyor came in as well. They were really trying to crack the nut from the beginning.
To address the comments, you said that there's not gonna be any odor problems.
It'll, well, hopefully I didn't say there wouldn't be any odor problems, but what it'll do is get the discharge point down at the end of the street away from the residents, farther away from the residents. So when they do maintenance and they pop a manhole lid down there to clean or whatever, odor's gonna come out, at least it'll be that much further away from the residents.
We
We're-
have it on railroad tracks instead of right in the middle of the street by those houses.
Yes.
The manhole that we're tying into is a real deep manhole,
Yeah, it's like 19 feet deep.
and what shape is that manhole in?
I believe we've had that recently lined.
Yes.
I'm sure we had that recently lined.
Well, yeah, and that's,
Does it have a bolt down cover?
Sure it does not have a bolt down cover right now, but we'd add, I mean, we'd always change the frame cover out.
Because we're gonna have,
Right there, further up.
why am I getting lost
we're
on
gonna have
the,
more odor than we have right now.
Should have less odor than we have right now because there'll be more flow in the line. So it's keep moving through there.
may not let me on there. Yeah, we don't have, GIS is not pulling up, so I was gonna show you what Ogden looks like from, there's canal.
So they actually have a plan for where that force main is. Thomas and Hutton
Right.
prepared a plan, and showed
Already have it.
exactly.
When we fit it out with the alternates, they already have it on.
That is Ogden Lane. So it's very narrow. The first resident here is very particular about their property lines. You can imagine. I don't think it's going to let me go down Ogden Lane, but anyway, it's a really, really nice lane area. It's very, very nice back there. It's just not a lot of room to do anything.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move that the Facilities Committee forward the above described change order number 2 to the full commission for approval.
Second.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries.
I think it's overall it's a good solution. I know we've talked about this one for at least a year.
Yes, sir.
And, kudos to the team there, Todd, that you guys pushed that forward with the contractor, and we've come up with a consensus resolution. Now we just need to execute. So,
Thank you.
Can I ask one more question? The materials cost $66,000. Is that primarily pipe, or is that the bulk of it?
Pipe, yes,
Pipe,
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
There's a few fittings, but pipe
Yeah,
costs
pipes.
just in the past year went crazy.
Yeah.
If he had to put in the gravity line, would he get more money for it? Those materials have gone up too.
No, sir, because that's the way it was bid.
that was the base.
And we awarded it on that, so even if it went up,
He
it
would
would
have about 8 cost, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. That has been we have been anxious to solve that one for many moons.
Somebody might mention that tomorrow at the meeting. Just ready to figure it out.
All right.
Item is,
Let's see,
final balance and change order number 3, pump station 4003.
Okay. All right, Commissioners. 4003, Project 702. This is just to close the project out as far as the contractor efforts go. And we did receive change order documentation, final adjusting change order on December 8th. The engineer records memo for recommendation is attached as well. Final payment of $120,000, and it includes retainage, and it's actually a reduction in contract price of $8,872.39. And this will close out the project with Petticoat Schmidt. And the only things we're waiting on the project is with the engineers to receive the record drawings, which they're in process right now. We expect in a couple of weeks.
I'll make a motion. This is an easy one. Move that the Brunswick-Glynn Joint Water and Sewer Commission Facilities Committee forward the above change order number 3 to the full commission for approval.
Second that.
Motion second, all in favor? Motion
We'll
carries.
say, assuming this gets approved tomorrow, this will free up any additional budgeted SPOS funds from that project that can be transferred to the North Mainland project to offset some of our expected overruns on the SPOS budget.
That's it. This is our first large SPLOST project complete, right?
Yeah.
Next item is infrastructure dedications. Mr. Klein.
Okay, Commissioners, thank you. I'll run through these quickly. These are fairly routine dedications. The first one is for Nottingham Drive, and this was installed by private forces to serve several lots that they are developing or building homes on Nottingham. And what they did to facilitate that was install a force main to reach our gravity collection system. And once they did that all within public right-of-ways, and are now dedicating that infrastructure to the Joint Water and Sewer Commission. So there's a site location in the exhibits, also a GIS map snippet of that as well with a description, and then also the record drawing is attached as well. So everything that gets constructed water and sewer wise gets record drawings as well.
When was this installed?
Sir?
When was this installed?
Earlier this year, right?
Right, they just tied the first home onto it in the last 2 weeks.
Okay, right.
I think it was last week that people moved in.
So is this pretty routine then? If someone else puts this in, that we automatically, does that trigger the dedication eventually down the road?
We, certainly, especially if it's going to be within public right-of-ways, Commissioner. the intent is always to have that, first of all, built to standard, designed to standards, built to standards, and we inspect it all along the way, the private construction, and the point it's complete before they can tie customers onto it. They have to provide record drawings, all the testing's complete, and then the dedication documents. And once the dedication documents are submitted and they're complete as far as they're required, we release the project for folks to connect to it. We want to get those customers on as quickly as possible. This staff's rolled in to bring it to the commission for actual acceptance. So,
Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion that the Facilities Committee forward the above described dedication to the full commission for approval and acceptance.
I'll second the motion.
Motion second, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Todd, I got a question about this.
Yes, sir.
It's not going to affect the award, but this was a pressure system right here. Is the rest of the subdivision all gravity?
some of the systems on gravity out there, and I can
Everybody else in that neighborhood is served, right?
No, sir.
septic systems.
Not everybody knows.
Not everybody is. It's
Is
kind of a
is this where you drive in to go to that pump station where we had that spillage?
Yes, sir.
28.
Yes, sir.
And that's, you drive in and it's back over there to the right, isn't it? Up there, going north?
Back there off of Bishop Lane. Yes, sir.
I don't know where Bishop Lane is on this drawing. But there's a pump station. Is that where this sewage is going to?
It's very close to there, yes, sir.
But this is going to be flowing to that.
Yes, to 28.
Can you pull up and show where that subdivision? Because I'd like to see if you mentioned only a few of those people are on. We got that pump station right there. And, but a lot of those people have septic tanks.
Well, heck,
Folks,
No, it didn't work.
that didn't do it.
Nope.
I was trying to pull up an address,
I
518.
think you just end up somewhere in England.
the individual homes there, since this, we have a low-pressure force main, as their septic system fails, then they'll be obligated to connect.
Tie like that.
So they'll put in a grinder pump.
Right.
But some of that has gravity system in it, right, Todd?
The gravity system, there's, Fairway Oaks is the kind of front part of the subdivision, and the back part is Nottingham. Fairway Oaks is on the system, Nottingham is not.
Should we consider putting a gravity sewer in there?
Always a consideration.
It's a, yeah,
We've got
it's,
a pump station right down the road from it,
we do.
and those look like they're fairly small lots.
Yeah, I don't know that they would qualify for septic today.
So,
Not today.
Qualify for septic today.
I mean, we're looking at Arco and Community Road and all that. I mean, I just wonder if, I would hate to think that we just, from individual owners, they're gonna wanna put in the pressure system because it's cheaper. But then we got all these pressure pumps sometime in the future, somebody gotta maintain.
We will certainly look at what the cost would be to run gravity back in there.
That's kind of the difficult part is when it's a private entity, and I think they had a,
Is that private roads?
oh, no, sir, this is all public roads, public right-of-ways. But the developer or the builder, the home builder, they only had, half a dozen homes they were going to build in there.
Yeah.
So the cost to extend gravity sewer, they couldn't quite muster. The next best option for them was to get to our sewer system.
Well, I'd like to know how far they would have to extend it to put in gravity sewer.
The length of the force main?
Well, and then this is a shallow manhole
Right.
too, so they wouldn't have the depth to,
We probably had to put in a pump
Necessarily.
station back there.
yeah, it's a shallow one. There's
It's a
some
very
areas.
nice neighborhood, isn't
It is.
Okay.
It's pretty cool to see too. It's an older neighborhood, I think.
Seeing some redevelopment in
Yeah,
it.
it was developed in the early 60s,
Was it that old? Yeah.
yeah, late 50s, early 60s is when that opened up.
Okay. To see those,
it? And that when Golden Shores opened up too, at the same time.
Could be.
that's what we're seeing. Some of these infill lots, even these older neighborhoods.
Yeah.
People are buying and putting some really nice homes in there.
The next Can you tell us what the policy is for accepting grinder pumps over gravity sewers?
I mean, if, it's up to the preference of whoever installs. If they want to put in gravity, they can put in gravity. We prefer gravity, but if they don't want to foot the bill for gravity and want to put in low pressure sewers, the homeowners have to maintain the grinder stations after the fact, but it's entirely up to the developer.
Even if it might affect the long-term layout of the system?
Well, I mean, it gets to the point where, if the gravity system's going to be 4 times as expensive, if the
I
developer.
understand that from the developer's standpoint, but we have to look at the integrity of our entire system. And like this line right here, if we require the developer to pony up a little bit more, or if we added some money to it, we might could have served another 20 to 30 houses. I'm not sure that's the case here.
Right.
But when we have something like that, I think we ought to look at it from the integrity of the entire system rather than having this just intermittent pressure system here and then we say, oh, we should have put in a gravity sewer when everybody else wants to hook up or something like that. We need to look at the overall system.
If their connecting point is a deep, has sufficient depth to it to extend gravity, we definitely do encourage them to do that. And most of the times that's what they want. It's a selling point also for the home builders to tie onto a lateral versus the homeowner owning a grinder station. So it's like Mr. Burr said, I guess there's a break point with the business sense side of it for the applicant.
All right.
We do have a second infrastructure dedication to discuss.
Okay.
There's one same further back for the pediatric Ventures.
Yes. You ready for that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, I'll move to the next one. Surfside Kids. And this is simply some dedication of infrastructure here as well. 50 feet of 6-inch and 42 feet of 2-inch water main, and 52 feet of sewer main. Now it's a 6,000 square foot pediatric dental facility. And you've probably seen where this is going on the edge of College Park. It's right there at the Spur and Altama. On the southeast corner, cat corner to the Target Shopping Center, Lowe's Shopping Center.
Just as a point of understanding, we voted it for the motion was to cover the dedication, and I think you attached all these together. Why we didn't give you a chance to present each one of them. I don't think we need to have a vote for each one because we've already voted, but it's good to have the details. I found it kind of interesting when I looked at this, what'd you call it, Pediatric Surgery Center?
Dentistry.
Dentistry, okay, that's, shucks, it's right in the middle of a subdivision, even though the driveway's on Altama.
Yes.
It's kind of interesting how that wound up, but that's a city issue, not mine.
Yes.
So this is literally just the section from the edge of the right-of-way to connect to the public system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, we asked that question too, and they were even successful in getting a curb cut. I think they were just outside of DOT jurisdiction. And they squeezed it in there, but it'll, I'm sure, hopefully not affect the residential area right there.
Is this close to where we did not reline that pipe that we were going to reline?
Across the street.
It is.
Okay.
That's right.
It is.
Now, we do have a separate motion for this one over the other one, though.
We did, but the way the motion's read, I agree with Commissioner Duncan. We
Okay.
could probably just
All right.
say it was already approved
So you're going to clarify that in
tomorrow.
okay.
Okay, so we're going to call that one approved as well. Okay. Great. That's a very nice looking facility that's out there now, the dentistry office.
Is that it?
They can charge more money.
Next item is USGS joint funding agreement. Mr. Burris?
Yes, sir. Since 2014, we've been entered into a joint funding agreement with U.S. Geological Survey to study the migration of a salt plume in the upper Florida aquifer for migration of chlorides throughout the system. This is key for our long-term planning to determine if the saltwater intrusion is causing any issues. Of course, several years ago, we had to close down the Perry Park well site due to the increase in chlorides. As of since then, we have not seen any significant movement in the plume, and therefore it has not impacted any of our other wells. But as we bring additional resources online, we always want to maintain this contract to make sure we're doing well. You see the price has changed drastically every year was how much was being contributed. The proposed amount this year, $70,100. It went up a little bit last year as we added the Ridgewood site to the facility. And this year, speaking with USGS, they're requesting more just because their costs have went up as everyone else's cost has went up over the past year. So they're asking us to contribute $70,100 this year towards that agreement. And then there is a brief scope of work and update provided by Dr. Cherry at the back of the packet if you're interested in seeing that plume.
So is this what we get when we pay that money? We get this report?
We get, well, we don't necessarily just get this report. We get real-time monitoring. You can go online at any point and see the monitoring sites through the USGS website. And they also, we can call them and they can do specific modeling exercises for us as a portion of the contract.
Have we ever asked them to do that?
We've had them to do that, yes, sir, on some previous well sites, see what it would do. So if we're looking at a new well site where we don't currently have a well drilled, we'll ask them to run modeling to see what that would do for us.
What about the new well that we're going to be designing now?
It's already included because it's an existing well site, but of course.
Did we look at it to see where the plume is right there?
Yes, sir. The plume is still located very close to Brunswick Cellulose at this point. And to be honest, we're continuing to monitor this, and it does appear from all the data that as long as there's not a significant reduction in their withdrawal, we likely will not see a huge moving of the plume because of the amount of water they withdraw. They kind of,
Aren't they 40 million a day?
depending on the day, 20 to 40 million a day. So they kind of control how it moves out there because they pull about 3 times as much water out as we do.
And Pinova, how much do they draw?
I think they draw about 10 to 15 a day.
Okay. So we're kind of bookend
Right.
between the two large consumers of groundwater, not groundwater, from the aquifer.
And with that being said, also the Jekyll Island has a separate agreement that they maintain for their water systems purposes. So Jekyll Island contributes some, and then USGS is trying to go to the other large sources in our community, trying to see if they would like to contribute as well. But for our purposes as water planning, we feel it's important to maintain this contract.
Andrew, can you, on page 3 of 10, on the little report they have, can you explain that, the bottom photograph?
Yes, sir. That the original testing in October 2014 kind of outlined a T-shaped chloride plume there. You can kind of see.
Does everybody see that?
Page 3 of 10 there.
Yeah.
Yes, so as you can kind of see, there's 2 very large water users that kind of draw that out. And then we keep monitoring, and the Perry Park site that was shut down is inside this plume, but you see it, Brunswick Villa, Goodyear, and Howard Coffin also being very near where that plume is currently located. We keep monitoring that, and those are all withdrawal sites where they take the test at, so that we know exactly what the chloride concentrations are at all these locations. And again, since we've started monitoring, we have not seen significant changes in the location of the plume. It's just a little bit here or there, but so far it hasn't impacted any well but Perry Park.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move that the Facilities Committee recommend the full commission enter a joint funding agreement with USGS in the amount of $70,100 for the continuation of groundwater monitoring in the upper Floridan aquifer.
Second.
Motion second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Next item is water pollution control plant flows. Mr. Burrs.
Yes, sir. In monthly reports here at Academy Creek, you'll see everything at Academy is well in compliance for the month. About 7.5 million gallons a day leaving that facility. That's a little bit up from where it had been the last month. We had a good bit of rain the first part of the month, kind of kicked it up a little higher, but the end of the month was back down in the low 6s. TSS and BOD removal over 96%, 96.5% on both of those at the facility despite the ongoing project work. So, very good job by staff there operating that facility, and again, the plant flows are remaining fairly consistent. We're doing the CIPP work on the 36 basin, and so we're hoping to see some reduction in flow there, but all in all, flows very much in line where they've been the past several years, and that's good because as we grow and the flows stay the same, that means we're making progress. Dunbar Creek flow again this month was elevated to 3.4 MGD. Again, that was heavily influenced by 1 week of high flows, and the rest of the month was back in normal range, but it just kind of kicks the average up for the month. But still under permit for the flow rate there. You do see some slight reductions in the influent concentrations with the higher flow. But the plant, again, operating still with only one basin because we haven't got that other basin painted and put it back together yet. So still operating with one basin and still removing 98, 99% of BOD and TSS there at the facility. We are doing some lining work in Cipp West right now, and that we expect that to have a significant improvement in the amount of rainwater getting in, or groundwater getting in the system because those lines are 16 feet deep. So we did get a rain event into last week, and there was no perceptible change at the plant, and we've only got about half that pipeline thus far, so that was a good sign. But plant flows at Dunbar Creek, they fluctuate depending on rainfall, but all in all, holding pretty steady. And down here at Southport, again, the same thing, plant being operated very successfully. Miss Angela Walker, our procurement coordinator, pre-treatment coordinator, was there through the end of November. She's been there for about 8 or 9 months now, and she's now been rotated away as we've got some new operators, and that allowed her to be freed up. But she operated that plant very successfully at Southport, 97 and 98% removal of BOD and TSS there at that facility. So all 3 of our plants being operated very successfully by our staff, and continue to make improvements there. And all in all, things going very well.
You mentioned the pipes in Cipp 16 foot deep. A lot of them 16 foot deep?
The entire 12-inch trunk line that comes through Cipp West,
It's only word doc, right?
the ones closest to the plant are almost 20 feet deep, but those gravity lines are very deep.
Do we have any other lines that deep on the island?
There's only a handful. It's probably one of 2 or 3 neighborhoods that are that deep.
What about on the mainland?
On the mainland, that by Academy Creek is very deep, but most of our gravity sewer is less than 12 feet deep.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
So Cipp West is got some fingers to go way back in there, and it's all served by one gravity line instead of putting any smaller pump stations back there. And to do that, they had to get deep.
I think we ought to consider maybe strengthening our pressure sewers versus the gravity sewers, and say if the depth is above deeper than X number of feet or something like that, depending on how the layout is or something.
And we also technically can't, with our equipment, we have to rent additional equipment or bring another contractor in. We don't have the equipment to dig deeper than 12 feet deep.
Yeah.
Because 98% of our pipe is less than 12 feet deep, so there's no reason to buy them.
Now, when do you have to start double well pointing?
Probably 10, 12 feet, you'd have to double well point.
Oh, yeah, the bench back, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll use trench boxes with a bench back.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so those pipes, even when it's dry, the water table's never that far in the ground, so those pipes in Cipp West are constantly underwater. So getting those pipes lined, we suspect will have tremendous dividends for us.
Right. A lot of hydraulic pressure just from the tide.
Right.
Okay. Okay, Todd, let's have the pictures. That's good. That's fine.
Thank you always for the opportunity. All right, capital project update. We'll go through the picture report here. Now, just a reminder, this report here with the pictures is projects that are actually under construction. So we've got others that are on the list, and but this is the ones that are in motion with construction. Others are under design and whatnot also. Project 702, pump station 35 and 36. We talked a little before about it. This is a walkthrough meeting we had, a few pictures of that, electrical room, whatnot. This is before the pumps arrived at 35. We're down there in the dry pit room, looking around in the middle left, electrical room, middle right. And there at the very bottom, it's looking down at the dry pit or the pump room where the pumps are going to situate, and that's the discharge piping we're looking at right there, the green piping. Then outside is a shot of the BioRem, which is the brand, but the odor control tower. It's also a part of this project.
Pumps for 35 showed up Monday, and the pumps for 36 showed up today. So we've got all the pumps on site now.
The bottom right-hand picture,
Yes, sir.
are those power roof ventilators? What's that on top of the roof?
That is ventilation, yes.
Are those fans? Are they,
Yes, sir.
the blowers?
Yes, sir. For air exchange. It's looking-
Those are just exhaust fans, aren't they?
But are they like power roof ventilators? I've never seen something that looks like that.
Well, a little at a time here. Oops.
Wrong way.
Uh-oh.
Other way,
There we go.
other way.
Can you zoom in? Have you zoomed?
I'm at maximum zoom, Captain.
There you go.
There we go. That's as far, in this picture. We can get some, we do have more pictures. We can get some better pictures. Now, what you don't see here is also now there's a solar panel up there, a couple other things.
Up on top of the roof?
Yes, sir. It's actually on that beam right
Solar panel, what's it for?
What's the purpose of the solar panel?
here. It's to keep some batteries and some backup batteries inside charged. Yeah, for SCADA and whatnot.
Is that standard equipment now of solar panel?
It was engineered, designed them into this one. So
Okay.
it was.
Is it gonna be at 4036 too?
Yes, sir. It's going to be done the same way.
Does it do any emergency lighting also, or just the batteries? The batteries?
No emergency lighting.
No? Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Now you got to unzoom.
Yeah. Let's see what here I can do. Back out to.
There you
There we
go.
go. Okay. And related project with 702 is the force main extension. So again, this is just a typical project, bi-weeklies out there. You can see some of the construction going on, pipe install, that's water main install going in, or yeah, it's water main install going in along on Canal Road, which Canal Road right now, this segment of Canal Road, this is 2-lane, it's going to be 4-lane. So as part of our design, we had to accommodate the county's proposed plans. So you'll see some fittings and zigs and zags in our water line where there's no conflicts at present, but the county assures us one day there will be. And the force main pipe there, you can always tell the difference between, at least the way we specify pipe, green pipe is sewer or wastewater, and blue pipe is going to be potable water. So the two pictures in the middle you can see are the force main going in, another one stubbed out. And
Did they use some of our pipe and pay us back on this job?
this,
Because
I don't think we
didn't
loaned
get-
any pipe on this project here.
They didn't get delivery on some of their pipe. That was a help. hold
We
up.
offered to provide them with some of our inventory pipe, but their pipe showed up in time, so they didn't use any of ours.
And the pipe is all the same color?
Yes, sir.
Because at first we were concerned we might have different color pipe.
Right, it's all C900 for the, upstream, or for the water, 12-inch C900, and the same for green pipe for the 12-inch upstream, and then the green stripe pipe for the 20-inch, 12-inch Hdpe that they pull through. So that's their smaller machine there. That's a 100,000-pound machine. And then they're going to bring the big machine, which is the 100-ton machine, coming in here to do the final pulls underneath Glencoe Parkway and the last other couple pulls through there. So it's pretty neat thing. It comes in on looks like a semi-trailer when it comes in. It's literally that big. But that's ongoing right now over by Air National Guard. If you go out there right now, you'll see them out there working. So just a few more feet to connect the water main on Canal to where the storage building business is. Okay. Next project is 704, which is the water main project happening in the same general area. This is the water main connection from the Canal Road, Harry Driggers, Glencoe intersection to the water main that's there by the airport, across the entrance from the airport. This is going to loop that system in. TB Landmark, same contractor. The project was bid out. We got pricing and whatnot. Same contractor doing our drilling on North Mainland project. Also put these 2 stub outs underneath the Fletzy driveways. And that job's complete now. Just some final testing. They've been all pressure tested and everything like that. We're working through the bacteriological testing for those now. And once these guys are out of the way, in-house forces for water distribution are going to make the final direct bury installs to connect these all together. Overall, it's an in-house project. Okay. Project 906, Academy Creek improvements.
Yes, sir. So we've got, finally had stuff start showing up, which is a good thing. On the picture there on the left, they're starting the install. You can see the new live bottom bin at the top of that picture, sitting on the surface there, fixing to be ready to be installed. That is to offload the sludge from Dunbar and Southport. The canopy has been installed over the filter structure, and it was almost complete yesterday, so I suspect it is complete now. They've also been demoing the existing gates in the splitter boxes, and we did have some gates show up, so we've got new gates in splitter box B, we've got new gates in the headworks, and they've installed, even though it's not hooked up yet, they've installed the new gates in the new splitter box on the pre-aeration. So gates started showing up, so we'll be able to put clarifiers 1 and 2 back into service on Monday, which will be a great benefit to see how those new feed wells and baffles will assist in that. The primary effluent lines leaving the splitter box are being installed, ran into an unexpected electrical duct bank. Got some 480 in there that's got to be rerouted so that we can continue the dig there. Did not appear it followed any plan, because based off the way that duct bank was poured, I can't imagine any engineer drew that. But we get through it. We had been doing some electrical conduit install coming out of the solids building there. You see pictures, and a new roof, gutters, and a new overhead door has been installed on the motor control building there by Headworks, and they're fixing to get in there and start demoing the old electrical panels and start installing new equipment in there. So still major items still outstanding. We're still waiting on screen delivery, which the contractor is still being told into January, but they do not have a ship date yet, so still waiting on that. But the contractor has completely redone how they plan to do the project based off of what showed up when. So they've been working very well out there. They were getting to the point, not that they were out of work to do, but they were getting to the point where they were going to be held up. And luckily, a bunch of stuff showed up last week, so that allowed
Gates allow them to advance their project.
Right, Gates allowed them to get some stuff done, and then they'll take a break between Christmas and New Year's, and hopefully stuff will start showing up again the first of the year as well out there. But that is all going fairly well right now. The filter structure is essentially complete. A little more electrical that's got to be done there, but we're waiting on the aqua aerobics rep to be freed up to actually do startup, which theoretically will be sometime in January, so the filters can be brought online.
But we do have the gates installed there now, so we could start that out.
The gates for the filters have not been installed yet, but to my knowledge, they're here. We just can't do startup until the end of January, so they've started working on some other items since they don't want to have it just sitting there.
You mentioned the 480 volt circuit that was found. After we finish this major renovation, are we going to have an as-built that shows all the discoveries?
We will have new as-built that show the discoveries.
So that the next time we do something, we'll have better data.
Well, the 480 volt that we found went into the bottom of the old grit chamber. There were some blowers down there. It's not needed any longer because that structure has been torn down. So we just got to go back to the switch gear, flip the switch gear, disconnect, pull it out, and then they can rip the duct bank out. We got to provide some 110 out to the flow meters on the influent that were being fed out of the bottom of that building, but that was already going to be done. So they're going to have to temporarily provide power for the flow meters because that is a permit thing to maintain while they're doing the work. But our electrical sub is working on that now.
So there are blowers underneath the old grit chamber?
There were blowers, yes, sir. Probably, if I had to assume, being recycled for the copper out of the motors right now. Those windings are valuable, so.
Sure, that's true. So
Okay.
the completion date in this is really just based on.
Completion date right now, end of March, early April, but full disclosure, that is 100% dependent on when the screens show
On
up.
delivery of, yeah.
And when I say dependent on the screens, they can't do the odor control installs until they have the screens in place because they have to custom cut the odor control covers once the screens are in place. So most of the work at Headworks is held up by those screens.
I'd say if we get this done by early summer, it'll still be
Well,
a great success.
luckily, we allowed them 18 months on the contract to start with, even though they really only needed 14 months. So we're still got plenty of time in the contract at this point. Hopefully, we weren't going to need it, but it looks like we may at this point.
Update us, there's two other things we're considering here, the admin building and also the UV.
Okay, UV system, we're working with we ordered a change order to the engineering contract last time to design that. They're writing up owner procured equipment RFP so we can get proposals to review and purchase that. Talking with the existing contractor, it's going to depend on whether they're still have plenty of work to maintain that whole time, or they may want to demobilize, and we may have to bid that out separately to get that UV system installed. The admin building, did speak with them about this literally yesterday, and their preference would be they're still interested in doing the job, but they think it'd probably be better for both parties if that was just bid out separately than trying to change order it to them at this point. Because they think it's a different style of work. They're
Different resources.
different resources needed for that, and so they would recommend us just bidding that out separately. I will say our contractor, part of the reason I think that is they just want a very large contract up in the Savannah region. So they're having some of those resources that they weren't keeping for us, but some of those resources have since been reallocated. However, we're still keeping our site superintendent, Mr. Allen's still going to be there, so
Good deal.
as long as he's there, we're in good shape.
That's good. He's a good gentleman there. All right. Pump station 4105 Basin expansion and 4036 CIPP. So we spoke some more earlier about the lining work that's going on for that project. These shots here are of the bypass by Rich CPAC off of Glendale. That's one of the bypass setups there they were pulling from. And you always have to bypass the sewer around the lines that you are lining. And then what you see here is a discharge point, the middle left picture. And that's discharging to a gravity manhole, and that's alongside the tracks right there. And just south of here is the trestle that goes across the canal, to give you a location. And that's the setup that you'll see, and you'll see that tonight as well. If you drive through exit 36 tonight, see something very similar to that. They'll have they call it reefer trucks, where they keep the cooled bag, has the resin impregnated fiberglass bag or liner in it. They keep that guy nice and cool until it's ready to install. And this is how they do it. They invert the bag. It's kind of like a sock, taking a sock and rolling it right side back out. And as it rolls out, it moves forward through the sewer pipe, and then your liner is there. Then they fill it up with water, and boiling hot water, and they cure it that way. So a lot of things have to go right, as you can imagine. That is a fabric material, and you can get wrinkles and whatnot and all that. So it takes a lot of care.
They do also other CIPP you can do with UV system, UV curing or with steam curing, but on these size lines, really the only way to do it is to fill it up with boiling water and let it cure. So they do take a while to fill up a 24 or 30-inch pipe and hold it for cure time. So that's why some of these take 24, 36 hours to actually line, because it takes a while to 500 feet of 30-inch pipe.
So, all right, and next project, Bergenwood's off-site force main. So our force main is all installed and in the ground. They had one little testing issue on the very last segment where it's the connection to the manhole, the receiving manhole at Kate Road. And they resolved that. They found where the leak was, repaired the leak, and got a passing test on the force main, so it's good to go now. The top right photo you see is what's an air release valve. And all it does is it allows the gas that gets trapped. Sometimes the gas that comes out of the wastewater stream collects, as you can imagine, as a bubble in the force main. These relief valves just allow that bubble to escape from the force main so that your fluid movement isn't impeded. And middle picture, it's Mr. Taylor, one of our construction inspectors, watching the final tie-in construction going on there. Right there in front of the Bergen Woods, that's where they're actually tying it back into pump station 4116.
That tie-in's been made, right?
Yes.
So I'd go back to the air release valve.
Yes.
You got the air release valve. What's the green box behind it?
So there's two options that we use with air release valves. Sometimes they're installed underground in like a manhole structure, a precast concrete structure. And then also sometimes we allow the use of pedestal types. Looks like a telecom box.
So is that box going to go over the pipe that we see sticking up there?
It goes over the ARV, yes, sir.
Okay.
Correct. It'll go over that, and it's kind of like a hot box in a way too. But
Okay.
It's a
Do
vented box.
we have a filter or something on that too?
These won't have any filters on them, as far as a carbon filter or something like that. You
Yeah.
can certainly get them. In the location that this is at, if we experience odor issues, we can certainly retrofit it with one. So it would,
Sometimes have odor issues with air release valve, don't
It can happen, yes, sir.
they are, yes, sir. The gas, the air that is escaping is can't have odor to it.
they?
Very likely to have.
We allow both kinds in our standards?
We do. It depends the location. Operations like these because they're easier to maintain. A lot of times the ones you see that are put in the ground are often forgotten about, and the ARVs do have to be maintained and replaced. And when they malfunction, they don't let that gas bubble escape anymore, and that can really affect your hydraulics. So sometimes being in-site is a good thing for maintenance reasons. It makes it easier. Keeps it out of the water. Sometimes they fill up with groundwater.
But that pipe could be full all the way up almost. Well, anyway, I wonder if those is efficient as if it's, I mean, because the pipe's 3 feet deeper or 4 feet deep.
Correct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So most of them would be right on top of the pipe just about.
Correct. In
So
the
you got about 6 feet of pipe perhaps coming out.
that's one of the other features of using this or this option is that you can, if your force main's in an area where you can't necessarily install a manhole or it's not a good location, it's in a sidewalk or something like that, you can actually take and reroute your pipe, your poly pipe off to the side, and you can mount your pedestal out of the way on the shoulder of the road or on the edge of the right of way, back against the wood line, something like that. And that's
Are those sewer air release valves?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, whoops, not real sure what I did there. I'm doing Control Z. Does that back me out? No, it's not.
Go to view.
Go to where?
Down to the left.
Down to the left,
Sorry,
up and to the left.
on the taskbar. There you go.
Read mode.
Now if you, there you
All right, let's see.
Go to edit document.
go.
Yeah, let's jump back here.
There we go.
There we go. Hopefully that did it.
Can't expect engineers to use technology.
I'm
We can
telling
just-
you
we can
what,
design
man.
it, but we can't use it.
Gotcha.
Let's see. All right, cool. So here we go back, connections made. So that's a good thing. This force main is going to serve not only the safety complex pump station, which is very close to being complete. I think within the next, we're going to be doing a startup.
Startup's Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah. So startup coming up here shortly with that one. Several of these projects are going to wrap up very quickly here at the end of the year. All right, here is pump station 2002 force main replacement. So when we last met, we were talking about the construction bid that we received was much greater, I think, than was anticipated, and so it was decided by the commission to reject the single bid, go back and take another look at things. And the board actually even asked if we could go back and do an evaluation on the force main and determine that, you know, is it just segments that need to be replaced, is it the whole thing and whatnot. So we did this evaluation. If you may remember, it's called Smart Ball. We did that on the 4002, 4003 force mains. Got a lot of good information on that, and that actually allowed us to postpone the replacement of the 4003 force main, which was a good thing, and focus on the improvement to the 4003 pump station. We are getting pricing on doing that same technology or evaluation on the 2002 force main, as the board showed some interest in that. And so this company here we're talking to is the same gentleman that helped us with the Pure Tech. He's now with a different company, Smart Ball, different company, same very similar technology. We're going to get at least two prices and see where we go with that. But hopefully in the next, probably first quarter we're looking at of 2022, we're going to have the evaluation done. All right, and this is just a shot of the receiving manhole here at the East Beach Denmary Road traffic circle, if you've been through that area. This is I love to showcase this one. This is the Hdpe manhole that we worked with the county to use when they did their traffic circle improvements. And if you ever get a chance or you want to go there and take a look at it, I'd love to show it to you. This thing's working like a champ. You can have them, the inverts can be built any way you want to have them done. The poly material is impervious to the sewer environment. And man, when you see there's 4 different flows that come into this manhole right here, this confluence manhole, and the troughs just make them work right in. It's really nice. It's pretty cool.
Force main tie into that manhole?
Yes, sir. 4001.
For the project we were talking about,
On the road, force main doesn't.
yes.
It comes here.
The road does, but the reason the project we're talking about doing goes into Denmary Road. There's a fitting in Denmary Road where it's already been replaced with PVC from that point down to the roundabout. So we weren't going to replace the PVC section. We were just going to do the ductile or cast section
We're
up to.
tying into the force main
Right.
at, on Denmary. It
On
comes on.
Denmary
down
and
on
Mallory
down.
right there, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, Denver Mallory. But this
That is where it actually discharges at.
this is the retrieval point where they would retrieve their instrument.
And what
right.
side of the street is that on Denmary?
On Denmary, this is on the
I know what side this is.
Airport side.
Yeah, but is a force main on that side too, all the way up?
it's on the east side for the most part.
It's on the
yeah.
east side almost the whole way.
Yeah, you got 4001's force main, 4002. There's a lot of stuff coming together at that intersection right there. So that was a great project working with the county and getting that where we got it. So I think odor's pretty much eliminated at the intersection. That used to be pretty stout.
Have they asked us what we're gonna do at the Sea Island, Frederica Road? as
Multiple
far as our
times.
Utilities, huh?
Multiple times. And we do something similar.
Do we have a layout of what it's gonna look like, kinda?
I haven't seen a layout.
Of the traffic circle up there,
Yeah.
I haven't. We've asked for concept. We haven't received anything yet. Yeah.
They haven't produced anything since the 2015 pond study.
Right.
So, but definitely looking forward. A lot of opportunities for improvements there as well. Looking forward to working with.
No capacity improvements, just condition.
Correct.
and-
Infrastructure condition improvements, yes.
Condition and location improvements.
Next project on the list is Arco Area. Okay, so we're in the construction phase of that project. I think we're working through the final pieces of the contract with UWS.
Do we have to get any easements on this?
There are
There weren't any easements on
no
this.
easements. They eliminated easements.
This is all done through, we had to get some construction easements, but
Yes.
When are we gonna start work on that?
kickoff meeting that, it was scheduled for 12/14, but got it rescheduled for
January 4th.
the 4th.
Thank you.
So, let's be honest, if they order pipe at the kickoff meeting, you're probably looking at March before they get started, just because pipe delivery dates.
Is the contract say where he's gonna store pipe?
We haven't determined that yet. There's some opportunities. I mean, heck, at whatchamacallit Park there, Perry Park maybe, or yeah, we'll figure. We got plenty of locations they can use. City will work with us too, I believe. Okay. Community road sewer expansion. So we're going back taking another look at this one to see if we can incorporate lowering the existing pump station to try to look for a better option than some of the less desirable ways we've got it right now, which is large diameter sewers or flat grades and that kind of thing, and see if we can better serve that area, but and also get a pump station improvement out of it. So we're taking a real hard look at that one. Okay, we're talking about 4116, it's a safety complex, just some good pictures of that. It even looks a little different now. This was pictures from last week. Power service from Georgia Power being relocated. In the top right picture, it was a 6x6 post is what it was before we had the new drop put in. I think it was truly a temporary service. And just a shot of the site. The site's been lifted. We've got about 2 foot or better of positive elevation from the surrounding area now. Contractor worked with us really well to do that. We provided the dirt and they just simply installed it, spread it out while we were waiting on the pumps and the electrical components.
Like I said, startup schedule for next week on that right now.
Correct. All right, Canal Road Water Production Facility, existing well. We're going to demo the existing buildings and whatnot out there and install a new water production facility very similar to Ridgewood that we finished up last year. About this time last year. The kickoff meeting with the design team, we've had that meeting. It was on the 2nd of December. And we've got we do have the minutes back now from that. And looking for the concepts to come back from them, survey to go and start being performed and whatnot too. And we are going to have to obtain this lot from the Glynn County / Airport Authority as well.
That site's currently being used as a laydown yard for the North Mainland projects.
So they own the site where this well is?
They do. They do. And we've already met with the Airport Authority, and Glynn County's already talking with JWC Legal, working out the details on that. What we're defining, once we get into design a little bit, we're going to define exactly the size of the parcel. We're actually going to get a little bit more than what's within the fence out there now. And so by the time we put a ground storage tank out there, we're still sizing the ground storage tank. The engineer's taking a look at all the design parameters for sizing that tank, and then we'll know what size footprint of property we need.
So it's a fire well right now?
It was originally designed, we understand, as for fire purposes, fire well purposes. And it had chlorinating facilities out there. I think it had a hydro tank.
Do
maybe.
we ever run it?
Yes,
Sure. Yes.
it's run weekly.
It's running weekly, and it ties into our system?
Yes.
Yes, sir. It is a permitted well. It's on our permit and everything.
Now Ridgewood, did we run it weekly too?
Mm-hmm.
Did it have chlorine facilities before too?
No, sir.
Where did it discharge then?
It went into the system, but there was enough chlorine in the system
Okay.
that the residual was still fine.
And the one down at Southport, we run it
The
too?
one at exit 29, we do not run the one on the plant site every week.
And if they're a fire well, do they kick on automatic if we have a low pressure or something?
No, sir, we have to manually turn them on.
Okay. North Mainland water loops. So this is with Four Waters Engineering. We did have the kickoff meeting with the design team back in November, and they are working diligently to get us our first alternate options to take a peek at. We should have those probably this week. And those are at Millennium, Golden Isles Parkway, kind of near Toucans, or Strike Zone area to loop us across the spur. Also at Hatala Drive and Old Jessup. Then also another one, Old Jessup and Bailey Road out there towards Tractor Supply. Okay, 3 pump station upgrades. We just had our pre-proposal meeting yesterday on this project. I think we had 18 for how many? Something like that.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah. I think we had about 18 people, either via phone or in attendance in person here. Pretty good turnout. We visited the sites. We started at Pump Station 4002 right down here in downtown off Mansfield Street, then went down the street to 4001, and then ended up at exit 29 at Pump Station 3101.
Can you explain to us what we're doing at those 3 stations?
These stations are all, it's not really capacity upgrades. It's all really condition-based upgrades, but at the same time, we're looking to make sure the pump upgrades and whatnot that we do meet what's recommended in the master plan. So electrical is a driver.
These 3 were all listed in the master plan on the electrical needs assessment as being at the end of their useful life.
So electrical mainly.
Electrical.
Mostly electrical, and while we're in there, we may, depending on the condition of the piping, we may replace the discharge piping, and we may go ahead, these will likely go ahead and replace the pumps on them, just because these pumps have got some wear and tear on them.
Todd, why do we have roofs over some of the motor control and control panels and others we don't have it?
The one at 3101, that's a new panel set up right there. They installed, and that one's going to get a roof, from what I understand. It's just not installed yet. It's going to get a roof over the top of it.
And 4002 is still going to look just like that?
Yes, sir.
From the outside?
May replace the fencing, but yes, sir.
Roof is likely going to go away too. I think it's got some, I think it's deteriorated.
Go on it.
Yeah, probably very similar to what we did at 3. The roof is also, I think Kirk even pointed out to the group yesterday that it's blocking the ventilation. It's, yeah, unfortunately. So we're putting it back to original.
If we're talking about electrical, what about, do we have a generator at 4002?
No, sir.
Just a connection for a generator?
We don't have connections for a generator.
Well, that's
We
a
have
big pump
bypass
station. That's a
connections.
main pump station, isn't it?
Right, we have bypass connections there, and so we can't locate a bypass pump there, and typically do during major storm events.
What's the status of our generators?
We are trying to get a bid out for purchasing the generators, still trying to locate exactly where we're gonna put the generator for the ops building. So much stuff in the ground right there, and that's a big generator, trying to figure out how we're gonna locate that, so we're gonna pre-purchase the generators while we're figuring that out. Because according to our electrical engineer, you're probably looking at 6 to 9 months delivery on generators right now.
So we haven't bid them out yet.
Haven't, hopefully getting bid out before Christmas.
FEMA's still on board for the,
Yes.
we're
so
paying
far.
20%, they're paying 80%.
15 and 85, yes, sir.
Okay.
We have to pay it all up front, they reimburse us. The priority basin clean and CCTV out of the master plan, you get some examples of stuff we're finding there. Broken line there, and then we got an intruding gasket. And then some roots that are growing in the line and some debris in the lines and the clay lines. But they've finished about 36, as of last week, about 36,000 feet to date. It's about 70,000 feet in the contract, so they're a little over halfway, and they've been working this week. And so they're averaging about 5,000 feet a week.
And tell us where this basin is.
This is, these are on St. Simon's. I believe these are, let's see, the 4035 basin obviously is the one coming off Ross Road. The bottom right picture is that area on Glen Haven right there in front of Dunbar Creek. some of the smaller lines, not the 24-inch that comes down Atlantic, but some of the 8-inch lines that run out the rest of Glen Haven.
Well, they're gonna be doing something on Atlantic too?
They're not.
Are we televising Atlantic too?
They're not televising Atlantic because we just had that line, 4 or 5 years ago.
All right, that concludes the construction projects in progress, and I believe we have a very cool presentation.
On the meter project.
Yes, from Ms. Roberts. I will yield.
Don't oversell it though. Commissioners, at last month's meeting, it was requested that some sort of demonstration on either the meter or the system that's been used for the meter data be presented to the commission. So I'm bringing you today a brief slideshow and some visuals that we can follow along. You will notice in front of me I do have a meter assembly and meter box, so we'll look at different aspects of that as I go through this, again, brief PowerPoint presentation. But basically looking at the system overview, just as a reminder, our goal was to achieve effective and efficient use of JWSC resources in gathering customer usage information and communicating that in a timely manner. So that's the goal with this overall system view here. You see a lovely graphic there from the vendor where the meter communicates with the tower, and that is a two-way communication there. The tower then, through its gateway, communicates through the internet to provide that information to our Neptune 360 software, or we can also use in-field technology to directly input that information into the Neptune 360 software. We've used the phrase cash register in this room before as far as our meters are concerned, but I thought you would find it interesting that the vendor themselves in their own graphic referred to the meter as the cash register. So yes, it's a widely known and widely used term. So the visual that I have today is actually the meter setup that's going in the ground. This is a 5/8 by 3/4 meter. It's a 5/8 inch body, 3/4 connection that usually tied to a 1-inch line. It is a lead-free brass body, composite register. The register itself is actually integrated. This is their Procoder R900i. The I stands for integrated, and that is the entire unit here is potted at the factory, including the antenna. So that reduces the intrusion of water, also reduces tampering ability with the meter itself. You'll notice that it is an analog dial, very similar to an old style car odometer. One of the reasons that we went with that particular style was because we have meters in our system currently that we can't read. The LED display is dead because the battery is no longer functioning, so that makes the meter essentially useless to us. So for those particular accounts, we're right now billing just a minimum bill of $28.50. Also want to draw your attention to the backflow preventer and the curb stop. We want to make sure that both of these are functioning on all of the installations that we do. The external antenna that you see here, again, potted at the factory, but the external antenna that you'll see coming through the top of the meter box lid, that actually allows us extended range on the communication with these, once again with that two-way communication. So that's our cash register and our data collection piece of it. I'll give you a little bit more information about those as well. This is a picture of an actual installation there in the field. You'll see all of those components that we just described. A couple of notes about these. I already mentioned about the lead-free bronze body. This particular Neptune meter actually is made in America. Not only is it made in America, but Neptune is the only manufacturer-owned water meter foundry in North America. So I just wanted to point that out to you. Every single meter that comes off of the Neptune line. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Was there a question?
Sorry for interruption, but
Please.
where is their foundry?
Their foundry is in Tallahassee, Alabama.
Okay.
Thank you. Take Highway 14 out of Montgomery.
They say War Eagle though, so I'm a little on the fence with that. I don't know.
We're not allowed swearing at them.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Every meter that does roll out that line is tested to not only meet, but in most cases exceed a WWA standard. So they do hydrostatic testing, leak testing, and obviously accuracy testing. On this particular meter, you'll notice the little tag is still intact that shows all of that occurred.
Now, that one's blue and yours is black. What's the difference?
Well, that one's actually black. It's the way the light is reflecting off of this composite that makes it look a little bit blue in the picture. Not a special effect necessarily, but I guess it's creative license, right? We talked about the register. That's not a typo. That's actually the official product name, Procoder, with the little half parentheses R900i. Again, the I indicates that it's all integrated unit, the board, the endpoint, and the antenna. Again, two-way communication between the unit and the tower. And this particular unit allows for alerts for continuous usage, which some people call leak, but we don't like to use the term leak around here because there are other plumbing issues that cause continuous usage. So we try to educate with the phrase continuous usage. Again, tamper, we don't want anyone tampering with the meter, and any reverse flow. Obviously, the backflow is intended to address that reverse flow, and if there's some reason that we're getting reverse flow on these meters, we certainly want to know about it as quickly as possible so we can address that issue. The system will help us to identify those very quickly. And then for data collection, I mentioned about this being an analog unit. Not only can we collect information from the fixed tower, but also these allow us to do the walk-by, literally lift the lid, read the meter as we do with the analog there. We can do the drive-by. We have a unit that's about the size of if you remember the old style bag cell phones, about the size of that with an antenna that's placed on the work truck. Drive-by, pick up those readings. And we, again, did that very intentionally because we're thinking, okay, we're in an area where unfortunately catastrophic events do happen and we are sometimes without power. So it's there, we want to have those fallback measures of being able to still go in and gather all that data. And this nifty little unit here will actually store 96 days worth of data. It will poll every hour and gather that data, so 2,304 hours in that one little unit. I mentioned the Neptune 360 dashboard. In the event that our technology did not favor us today, let me see. Krista, did that happen to get closed? I guess I need to open a new, bear with me here. Let me open a new window for you just in case we can get this rolling with it.
I had to hit escape.
Just have to get out of that whole PowerPoint went up. Apologies for the delay, but bear with me. Todd's.
So we can go, the homeowner can pick up the lid. You can't really pick up the lid though because the antenna's hooked to it.
You can get the lid out of the way.
Yes, sir. The antenna is long enough that it does have some slack to be able to lift the lid.
So he can pick it up and see if his meter's running.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Just like a
Customer has
Dunbar
that
on a car.
ability.
Yeah.
See it spinning. And it's got
Exactly.
a little small analog dial on it that sits there and spins as it's.
And where's the
That's right. There's
battery, where's
also-
the battery?
So you
on
can
that?
actually sit.
The battery's contained within the unit, the composite unit there.
So to replace the battery, what do you have to do?
You replace the whole register.
Right, the battery is warranted with the unit. And there's also, I also mentioned a sweep hand. I should have said
So
that
when the
about
battery
leak
runs
detection.
out, you gotta replace the whole meter?
You gotta replace,
But-
not the meter, the register. You can put a new register on the meter body.
The black part.
The black part has to be replaced, not the
And
brass.
what kind of warranty do we have on that?
13 years full, 7
7
years,
years prorated.
So 20-year warranty.
20-year warranty.
All right, so for our Neptune 360 dashboard, just hit a couple of high points here. The top section that you see is overall system consumption. So once we do have all of our meters installed, we'll be able to see the previous 7 days usage in detail as far as our total system is concerned. Next section is the top 10 accounts by consumption. I think you'll recognize that Academy Creek meter as being one of our top users, certainly, but then you'll see most of these are businesses, restaurants, hotels.
The Academy Creek meter, by the way, we had to temporarily disengage one of the reuse lines for the project, so we're having to use potable water at the clarifiers right now instead of the reuse because of the RAS repiping. So that's why.
And they use that for the foam? For getting the foam out at the clarifiers, that's why they got the water in the
Yes, sir. It's
clarifiers?
just sprays in there to push all the solids towards the edge so it gets caught in the scum trough. Because if not, it just sits there in the center.
And then the readings are a function of the route readings. So as those are in process right now, if our AMI supervisor were here, he could tell us exactly how those readings are being used in the current billing cycle. The received via AMI tells you how many of our meters are actively being read through the fixed tower. This continuous consumption number, that tells how many meters within the system are showing that continuous usage that I talked about. And although we're using this information to communicate to customers and make them aware of that continuous consumption, in some cases, especially these that we see here on our top 10 users, the user is aware of that continuous consumption and it's usual and customary within their usage. But even some of our residential customers are saying, well, the continuous consumption is there, but it's 3 gallons an hour, and that's not going to be a payoff for me to hire a plumber, find out what's wrong, and fix that usage. So there is some intentional usage that's occurring continuously within those numbers.
But we would still notify them?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
And then it's their decision from there?
That's correct. We actually send 2 notifications to let them know that they are using continuously.
Do we have access where we can email this or mail it to
Yes, sir.
the
We
owner too?
absolutely do. I'll give you a quick demonstration of one particular customer if you want to see that, just so we can kind of drill down to one of our and you can search by account name, account number, address, or meter number. So that's convenient if you don't have all of the information there in front of you to be able
No
to
one
quickly
searches by
access
meter
that.
number.
I didn't think so.
Nobody knows what the meter numbers are.
Well, customers might not, but sometimes we do. We
But
do in
all
back
the
office.
data's there.
That's right. That's exactly right. So you see the account identifying information there with the account number, the address. The latest reading, this is not absolute live data, but it will show you that there has been a reading taken at that location within the past 24 hours. And in the case of this particular account, it was today at noon. So you can see that reading live there. You do have the meter number or the meter information in the next column. And if you look down here at the monthly consumption analysis, you get your consumption obviously by month, so that's pretty self-explanatory. But the nifty part about this is you can click on that bar graph. You can now see it by daily consumption numbers, and those purple bars indicate the continuous consumption that we were talking about earlier. So in this particular case, this is a truck wash, so they're very aware of the fact that they're continuously using water. That is part of their customary usage. And then once we get to the daily consumption, we can actually click again and get down to the hourly
Wow.
usage. Yes, sir. So we have, again, that hourly usage being saved in that unit, communicated to the tower. Tower's communicating that to our Neptune 360 dashboard for us.
Is that a picture of the business down there also?
That's actually JWSC's.
Okay.
But we're working, eventually, thank you for the question though, because eventually that will be a
Wow.
picture of the
Google Maps image.
right, an
Okay.
aerial photo.
Wow, I tell you.
And the question was asked, can we export that to the customer? We can export that to a PDF.
Right.
Open that nifty little PDF. There's your consumption data in bar graph form, and then you have the hourly readings to support that.
Wow.
So if you want to drill all the way down into that, customer says, oh no, I can't possibly be using that much water, print this out. Here it is, hour by hour.
Right.
Water's passing through the meter. Now let's figure out what happened with where
We've
it's
had-
being used.
Since we've got about 4,000 of these installed so far, we've had multiple customers that get high bills. We pull the data up, and every morning at 2 a.m., they get a spike in usage because they didn't realize that their irrigation system was programmed to come on at 2 in the morning because they were asleep. And
Right.
it's happening literally every day at 2 a.m., so it has to be an irrigation
exactly
system going on.
But if we're at Chick-fil-A and they're using a lot of water on Sunday, we know we've got a problem.
That's exactly right. That's a wonderful observation.
You know, presume this can produce various alerts
Yes,
based on the parameters you set. Can we set those by the consumer and by the hour or?
This particular software doesn't have that capability just yet, but there will be a customer-facing software that we will integrate once the project is fully installed, and the customers will be able to individually set those parameters for themselves. So if they want to do, if I've had continuous usage for just one day, notify me of that. If I've had X number of gallons used, notify me of that. So there will be some sliding scale parameters that can be installed, yes, sir.
Very much like, with your power company experience, you can get those reports if you go above a certain parameter on your demand or something. They'll send you an alert so that we can get all that set up.
Exactly.
See if your neighbor's using your bid to fill up the pool while you're doing it.
That's exactly right. And just to give I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, wait.
Well, where I'm headed with
Yes,
this
sir.
is, as we roll out this technology to all of our customers, that
we should see a lower incidence in the request for consideration on a high bill
Yes, sir.
due to their continuous consumption.
That's exactly right.
We may want to look at it from an ordinance standpoint,
Okay.
such that when that information becomes available, that these other options are diminished.
Right.
Fair enough.
Because that, in my view, that puts more responsibility on the consumer to monitor their consumption, no matter what
That makes sense.
the consumption is caused by. And the other is every time we provide some forgiveness to any customer for high consumption, ultimately all consumers pay for that, because we do have some cost for pumping and treatment, for example. So just a thought to consider as we look forward is to shift that responsibility to those who are consuming it and who are creating that demand, if you will, service demand. Thoughtful.
That was something we have been speaking about, updating our leak adjustment ordinance again to simplify it already. So that's certainly something we could look in there. Like Ms. Roberts said, we notify them twice, technically 3 times, because we'll call them if it's a new situation. Then we'll send them 2 letters indicating they've had continuous usage for the past 30 days. If you've ignored 60 days of continuous usage, it may be a situation where you're not eligible for a leak adjustment because you've decided.
Right.
You've decided that leak is part of your usage at that point.
Exactly right. And then just to put some real-world numbers to this, this is one particular account where the customer volunteered to do a water journal for us. So you see, starting with the monthly usage, fairly recently installed meter, daily usage. So we're actually selecting the usage for December 13th, which is the second one from the far right there. You see the customer's water use journal there in the top left and the actual usage in graph form. And you see it matches up very well. Obviously no usage in the midnight to 5 a.m. hours, which is what it should be according to this, and nothing past 10 p.m. And you see the windows there in the middle. So functioning as expected.
They get up early.
Get up at 6:05, that is not early.
Well, that's not early.
It's all relative.
My alarm goes off before that, that's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
I don't use an alarm, and I get up 15 minutes ahead of that every day anyway. So,
Outstanding.
and I
But
don't,
it is good to see this person obviously does not have a leak because they went 5
That's right.
hours or
Yeah.
7 hours with no water going through the
No
meter.
water usage
this
at
is
all.
definitely as expected, right, yeah.
That's exactly right.
Is this gonna help our unaccounted for water?
Yes, sir.
Reduce it? How much do
And
you
that
think
was-
is gonna reduce it?
Well, going back to the company use or the overall system usage that we had, let me get back to the right slide, forgive me. Here, we'll start seeing issues there, and we'll know when we're having success, when we're not having success. So that'll be one place that we can start to attack that.
I think you can easily see a 2 to 3% reduction in unaccounted for water out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the actually the meters?
Just because actually the meters. I think that's possible.
Because,
Yeah.
Also, with this data, we turn data into knowledge, so we know what our peak times are for pumping.
Yes, sir.
And if we have enough storage that we can modulate that
Yes.
peak
Turn the
time,
wells off. fill it
well,
up, and-
again, that's a translation into lower energy costs from the power company.
And then the next step, once we get all the meters installed for our customers, we will then go back and install district metering we'll know, where we're seeing those spikes in different areas to look for potential leaks in the main lines. We can install district metering.
Well, perhaps you can aggregate the metering based on the service district, if you will. It's just a thought. Instead of having a physical meter out there, you aggregate the data you already have, and that may be able to help you, look at our operations, and if there's opportunities if we could do a little bit of peak shaving on the pumping,
Makes a big difference.
it goes a long ways.
I mean, ideal situation, you fill your tanks up at night and let them drain by gravity during the day.
Right.
You're talking about zone meters?
Particularly if you want to look at the older neighborhoods where we got a lot of transite, put zone meters in that can help us determine which ones may have the most leaks in there so we can prioritize our rehab.
Especially if they're dead end and
Yes. If
subdivision.
they're dead end subdivision, that's real easy. Put one meter on there and you're good to go.
Right. So investing this money into these meters is paying off.
Right, it's not just about the building. There's an
Right.
abundance of other options we get out of
Right.
this.
Didn't we buy 3 meters to do this at
We've
CPOM?
got some clamp-on meters, yes, sir.
We were using it at CPOMs.
We've been looking at it at CPOMs. The problem is because it's so looped in there, you gotta have little both directions, and we haven't got that figured out yet. But we have used them to test some of our large meters, though.
Another value-added service that Mr. Burrows and I have been discussing is the fact that right now we have bill groups whereby we bill once every month. So we have 13 different groups, and we've grouped those by geography right now. Well, not everybody's accounts are geographically within the same bill group if you're, say, an apartment complex or a property manager or something of that nature. So we actually don't see a reason we can't just do away with bill groups and bill more efficiently according to the customer's needs. So we're exploring how that would work
Some
for
of
us
your
as
power
well.
company bills, you could pick and say, I want to be billed on the 15th.
That's right.
We can
Sure.
create bill groups for which day you want to be billed off of, and you can kind of set that yourself. Now, if you set one that's 2 weeks behind normal, you may get a 6-week, but you're gonna get a 6-week
The
bill, the
first
first
time, right.
bill you get, but you can kind of set which day you want to get your bill.
And we're replacing the master meters too,
Yes, sir.
the big meters?
Yes.
Everything in the system, yes,
Everything in
sir.
the system, all
When
30,700.
we have a master meter, say for an apartment complex or condos, do we prorate that to the individuals or
Yes.
do we just? okay.
Goes to the complex.
And they pay the sewer bill too?
Yes.
And ultimately, will the consumer or customers be able to see their water usage?
Yes, sir. Again, once we have all of the meters installed in the system, there will be a customer-facing software that's similar to the functionality that's offered here, but that offers a few more things
Obviously, you
individual
have
to
to
them.
subscribe to that service. You know, you gotta give us your email address, things of that nature, and opt in to getting that information.
Right.
What's the date we anticipate all the meters being installed?
At this point, we're looking at about a two-year project plan. So,
So they're supposed to start reinstalling, I
In
believe there's a
January.
bit of a
yes, sir.
dispute of which week in January it's going to occur. But I say a bit of a dispute, kind of a,
And then they'll be installed until they're finished?
they'll install until they're finished. Assuming that they keep getting materials, they'll install until they finish.
That's right. You'll appreciate this. We haven't yet decided whether January the 10th is going to be a national holiday. So we'll have to wait and see what football season brings, and that may impact our installation schedule.
Well, it won't be a utility holiday.
Well, no,
Understand, yes, sir. All right. Enough of the levity. Any other questions, gentlemen?
You know, that's pretty cocky.
This is about Georgia fans, not Alabama fans.
Yeah, but
We're used to it.
You almost sounded like, you know what kind of thing.
Now, you know our meter installer owner is a big Georgia fan, so. All right. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Yep. Thank you for the
Thank you.
presentation. It's good
Sorry.
information.
Great information.
On our earned value report this month, for the end of November, it's 78% schedule compliance. That's up over 80% since we've got a lot of work done the first 2 weeks of December because people are trying to get stuff wrapped up before the end of their calendar year as well. So we're up over 80% now on the schedule compliance, and then once the meter project kicks off in full swing in early January, that number's gonna go up even more because it is weighted based off the dollar value of the project, and the meter project's one of our larger projects right now. So, still running a little behind schedule, a little over 80% schedule, but running ahead on cost. Ahead on cost means we're actually under where we projected on cost on these projects, so.
Do you think we're getting caught up and we need to have some more projects in the pipeline, or are we,
We'll be talking about more projects hopefully in the first quarter of next year.
because it seems like we're getting to the end of a lot of them.
We're getting to the end of a lot of them. We had the ones that were approved last year, we're going through engineering on now. So we'll have a new set of projects for next year, we'll start the engineering on, and so we want to continuously be doing projects.
And we need to start talking about what we want to put in for SPOS.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Do any commissioners have any ideas on that?
Well, to start that conversation, I think we need to refresh our understanding of the 20-year plan.
Right.
And that's really the bootstrap for us, and we validate you know, those groupings based on those 5-year tier increments, to say, okay, the priorities remain the same for that first tier. And we should just be minor adjustments to that. And we should be able to socialize that forecasted cost with our partners at the city and the county right away, and begin to help them to understand this is what the need's going to be based on our 5-year tier for the next segment of projects.
Andrew, at our next facilities meeting, can you give us a schedule on when we anticipate some of these new projects being started up?
Sure.
Because we used to have that at the start of each year. This is what we're going to be getting done.
Yes, sir. So, the new projects as far as we've got some in engineering now, and then we'll have a new set that'll be discussed as part of the budget for next year for approval as well. And so we'll have a schedule on that as well.
And the ones we need to be getting permits for too.
Right. Yes, sir.
Any other commissioners have any other comments? No. We'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.